Good morning, everybody. It's so hard to see everybody's faces when there's a screen share. But good morning. I'm Gretchen Gronke. I'm one of the co-chairs for Workgroup 2-3. And I'm really glad that y'all are here. I know for some of you, you've been involved for a long time, so you might know a lot of this. And for other folks, even folks that have been involved for quite a while, there's still so much going on for Blueprint. It was even really good for me to look back through all this information and help organize in my brain what is going on, because there's so much work happening. So thanks for taking the time to be with us. And I'll pass it on to Barbarita or Andrea.
I'll go. I'm not sure Arboreta made it in just yet. She was struggling there for a minute. But good morning, everybody. My name is Andrea Loud. I am co-chair with Gretchen and Barbarita, as Gretchen mentioned. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. I am so excited about this morning. But a little sleep deprived, so I'm a little bit goofy this morning. But again, thank you guys for coming, and I want to say thank you for joining this orientation. I'm so excited about it. Did Barbarita get in?
I don't see that Barbarita joined, but once she hops in, I'll probably pause so that she can just introduce herself. But we're going to move forward. And now I am turning it over to Dolores and Joelle, and they will do a quick overview of the blueprint. Oh, actually, I'm going to pause you, Dolores, because Barbarita just got here. We'll give her a second. We'll give her a second to get her audio. Hi, Barbarita. I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot. We're just introducing co-chairs. So really happy that you're here. So if you just want to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the presentation.
Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Barbarita San Pedro, vivo en el condado de Garfield y soy copresidente del grupo 2 y 3. Un gusto estar con ustedes.
Thanks, Barbarita. All right. I will turn it over to Dolores. And Dolores, you are focusing on slides. Let me pull up the agenda. I believe your name is underneath the orientation slides. So you're going to be doing slides 2 through.
That's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Dana. Hi, good morning, everyone. Buenos días. Voy a cambiar al español para darles la bienvenida a todos y para comentarles un poquito acerca de el blueprint. Este plan para acabar con el hambre, y Dana, podemos seguir a la siguiente diapositiva, por favor. El plan del Blueprint comenzó hace varios años y este plan en realidad se ha convertido en una red de socios de todo el estado. Es un modelo de impacto colectivo que tiene como objetivo reunir a las personas de una manera estructurada para poder lograr el cambio social a grandes rasgos. Algo muy único del Blueprint es que tenemos personas que vienen de todo tipo de espacio, tantos miembros de la comunidad que tienen esa experiencia vivida con el hambre, hasta diferentes tipos de instituciones. Y podemos pasar a la siguiente diapositiva, Dana. Y en realidad la visión del Blueprint es de vivir en un Colorado en el que todos los que vivimos aquí podamos acceder a los alimentos que querramos, donde los querramos y cuando los necesitemos. A grandes rasgos, eso es a lo que estamos trabajando. Si vamos a la siguiente diapositiva, ustedes podrán ver que en realidad nuestra meta en esta colectiva está basada en 5 objetivos, 5 metas que son en realidad los que guían nuestro trabajo. La primera meta es de incrementar la comprensión y la conciencia pública sobre la solución de los problemas del hambre. En realidad, este tipo de trabajo abarca todo lo que tiene que ver con crear una responsabilidad colectiva acerca de los problemas que todavía tienen nuestras comunidades con el hambre. La segunda meta es acerca de aumentar el número de habitantes de Colorado para que todos tengamos acceso a alimentos locales y que sean nutritivos. Podemos seguir a la siguiente diapositiva, Deina, por favor. Nuestra tercera meta y nuestro tercer objetivo aquí en el Blueprint es aumentar el número de habitantes en Colorado para que tengan acceso local a los alimentos. Perdón, esa es la segunda. La tercera es, voy a repetirlo otra vez, es aumentar el número de habitantes en Colorado que tienen acceso fácil a través de organizaciones locales. El cuarto objetivo es aumentar la inscripción de Weekend Snap, estos programas públicos, para que todas las personas que lo requieran o que puedan calificar para estos programas tengan acceso fácil a la inscripción. Y la quinta meta es aumentar la inscripción en los programas de nutrición infantil. Todo lo que, ahora podemos pasar a la próxima. Todo lo que nosotros hacemos, especialmente en este trabajo más reciente, tiene hilos de equidad dentro de dentro de la manera en la que llevamos a cabo nuestro trabajo. Y la manera en que nosotros tratamos de empaparnos en la equidad es en nuestras prácticas, en la manera en que llevamos a cabo nuestro trabajo. Y esto incluye la compensación a nuestros miembros de la comunidad. Como todos sabemos, todos estamos contribuyendo nuestra experiencia, estamos contribuyendo nuestras fortalezas. Entonces, hemos hecho un esfuerzo para asegurarnos de que todas las personas que estamos juntas también podamos recibir esa compensación, ¿no? La otra manera en la que estamos trabajando para ser más equitativos es la justicia del lenguaje. Yo tengo el honor de dirigir este esfuerzo del lado de Joel McClure, y también lo hacemos de una manera en la que la justicia lingüística sea y vaya al frente, tratando de incluir y empezar a incluir más lenguajes. También tratamos de llevar o tratamos de hacer y leer nuestros reconocimientos de tierra. La otra cosa es que tenemos recursos de equidad como las secciones de aprendizaje y el continuo. Entonces, los recursos de equidad los tratamos de llevar y compartir con todos a los que les interese. Y por último, uno de los esfuerzos más fuertes también que estamos llevando a cabo es elevar la voz de la comunidad y fortalecer la solidaridad comunitaria. En el país de donde yo soy, hay una frase bien común que dice: la unión hace la fuerza, y si estamos en solidaridad podemos avanzar y seguir adelante, ¿no? Entonces eso es bien importante para nosotros. Bueno, y la próxima diapositiva es bueno, creo que aquí ya en la diapositiva número 8, ¿no? Sí, gracias. Este es el equipo que lleva a cabo el trabajo día a día. Somos poquitos, pero sinceros, y le echamos muchísimas ganas, pero este es el equipo que lleva a cabo todo el esfuerzo de lo que es el Blueprint. Y creo que eso es todo. Aquí voy a hacer una pausa y cederle la palabra al que sigue de mis colegas. Creo que es Michelle.
yes, we have Michelle that is going to talk about our work group 1. Thanks, Dolores.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am Michelle Ray. I am the staff liaison for Workgroup 1, which is focused on building public and political will to end hunger. The goal also, because I know it was talked about, but I'll expand upon it a little bit, is to increase public understanding and awareness that solving hunger is vital to the health and well-being of all individuals and families, the Colorado economy, and every local community. So historically, some of the projects they have focused on is around creating and disseminating a anti-hunger community action toolkit and marketing materials for food programs, supporting around school meals. And what you see on your screen right now is what we're focused on at this moment. We don't have specific project teams, but these are the areas of focus that we are spending time on. So the first one is around language and messaging, and this does include language justice as well as accessibility, supporting our other work groups and committees that you'll hear more about, and in the future, hopefully coalitions and community-based organizations a bit more, and then connecting with community and creating welcoming spaces. So to give you an example of something that we're going to be focused on at our next meeting, which is on November 9th, is we will be reviewing some blueprint materials. So the first one is a policy document for the state policy committee. And so just to kind of see, it's like, is that language accessible? Does it feel inclusive? Do you understand it? And then the same way too, we'll be looking at our Blueprint 101 community presentation, which is included in some of this, to get feedback as well from that group, so we can ensure the information that we're sharing and the way we're sharing it is a way that wants people to feel like they're brought in, that they can engage with us and they understand the work that we're doing. And I'll pause there to toss it over to who's next. I believe that's Barbarita for Work Group 2-3.
Barbarita, are you still on? I think we might have lost Barbarita. So I'll go ahead and read. Actually, Gretchen or Andrea, do you want to read for Workgroup 2-3?
I'm happy to, since you're tired today, Andrea. All right. So we're group 2-3 is this group here, and the focus is on healthy food in communities. So some of the work that we've done here over the years is most recently we've been working on, well, there's project teams within the work group. And one of those project teams is taking care of micro grants for small grassroots projects. So the first, I think we talk about this more later in the slides, but the first round of micro grants went out this year. Another group is working on support for grassroots community leaders. And then there's another group working on healthy food incentive programs. And the last group is working on SNAP and WIC retailer certification assistance. So this group is really focused on like, how do we connect people to actually accessing more healthy food? Dana or Andrea, you want to add anything?
Thanks, Gretchen. And Barbarita was able to hop back on. I'm glad you're able to come back, Barbarita.
Sí, mil disculpas, es que mi internet está fallando, se me apaga y se me prende. Mil disculpas.
No worries at all. We're going to go over to Work Group 4.
Great. Thanks, Dana and all. Hi, everyone. My name is Greta. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the policy director at the Blueprint. So in addition to facilitating any of our policy committee's work, I also have the pleasure of facilitating Work Group 4 and the project teams that live within that work group. So Work Group 4 is focused on maximizing SNAP and WIC enrollment. Both are federal nutrition programs and both are really important here in Colorado to making sure that folks are getting access to food. And so the different ways that this work group looks at maximizing those programs can be through like administrative changes. How can we work with our state partners to really make sure the enrollment processes for these programs are working best for folks? And it also can look at outreach. How are folks getting connected to these programs, and what are the different ways that we can support Coloradans in staying on these programs? So we have 3 project teams within that work group. The first one I'll talk about is the SNAP advocacy for the houseless. And so this project team is really looking at our unhoused neighbors in Colorado and the additional barriers that they face in not only accessing the SNAP program to enroll, but also using their SNAP benefits. Lack of transportation, lack of a place to cook meals can make SNAP benefits a little more difficult for folks to use. So this project team is looking at different opportunities within SNAP to make it easier for folks who are unhoused to access foods through that program. The second project team is Connecting Food and Health. And this project team is really focused on how can we be advocating for our healthcare systems and healthcare partners to really start to integrate even more so access to food and nutrition to improve health outcomes and prevent diseases and chronic conditions. So this group is still getting their feet under them. We just had our very first meeting this week, but I'm very excited. It looks like we'll be doing some general advocacy to the Department of Healthcare Policy and Finance around the Medicaid program and how can we infuse more food and nutrition ideas into Medicaid. And then in addition, I feel like there's a strong desire for this group to look at maybe particular health conditions like diabetes and see how can we support programs that are servicing those folks and make sure that there's a connection to food access and consistent access to nutritious foods. Lastly, cross-program alignment. This project team meets within the regular work group 4 times. And it's just this idea going back to the original, like how do we maximize these programs? How do we also help folks get connected to multiple programs that they're eligible for, knowing that all the programs probably ask for the same to very similar questions, eligibility documents, and so aligning programs, Medicaid, SNAP, and WIC, and even beyond to work better for folks and just make the whole process easier.
Great, thanks, Greta. We're going to move on to Justice and Work Group 5.
Hello, I'm Justice Onwardy, and I'm the Blueprint Liaison with the Workgroup 5, focused on maximizing child nutrition programs across the state of Colorado. We, like the other work groups, have 3 different project teams. Our project teams are awareness and acceptance of school meals, outreach and community acceptance, as well as advocacy and support for systems change. So in our project team that is focused on awareness and acceptance, we're working on healthy school meals for all. So the Blueprint received a grant of around $1 million, and we've been focused on a marketing campaign with SE2, who we're using as consultants during that process, and we're doing a statewide campaign to support the implementation of healthy school meals for all. And we have a steering committee made up of community members, those from state agencies such as the Department of Public Health and Environment, the Department of Education, and other food organizations across the state. And we come together and we meet every few weeks to discuss the marketing campaign and what we want to see and what we're hearing from the community and areas of interest, such as helping schools increase the amount of staffing that they have to support the increased demand in school meals, as well as helping families complete the free and reduced lunch application so that schools are more eligible for higher amounts of federal reimbursements and funds for at-risk funding. And then we also used a portion of the funding to distribute micro grants across the state. So we used about $370,000 to award about 40 different organizations across the state to support the implementation of healthy school meals for all in their communities, focusing on organizations that are working with immigrant and migrant communities, communities of color, non-English speaking communities, and those in rural areas across the state. And then in our project team focused on outreach and community acceptance, we are focused on doing work around summer feeding service program. And this is a program that is every summer and provides meals to students that are 18 or younger, and they can get free lunch and breakfast at different sites across the state. So we've been trying to recruit more sites during the summertime in specific areas around Colorado and increase use of the sites in the Denver metro area and other areas. So we're working with the Department of Education on that. And so starting this fall, later in the winter, we'll start recruiting sites for the next summer. And then in our other project team focused on advocacy and support for systems change, we are addressing time to eat in the schools. So we will be, we've worked, one of our community members, Laquita Walker, I'm not sure if she's here, but has been spearheading this effort and has written a letter that we'll be presenting to the school board that is being sent out this week. And the school board meets on November 8th, and we'll be there providing testimony. There'll be some parents providing testimony and community members and other organizations that have signed on to our letter as well, trying to increase the amount of time that students have to dine. So they're not trying to rush and they only have 10 minutes to eat. We want to make sure that they have at least 20 to 30 minutes of sitting time and are able to complete their lunches. So we're decreasing waste and we're making sure that all kids are fed during the day. So we meet the second Monday of every month from 1 to 3 p.m. and all are welcome to join. Thanks, Dana.
Thanks, Justice. And I'm going to popcorn it back over to Greta and Justice to talk about the committees that they also liaise for the blueprint. So go ahead, Greta, and talk about state and federal policy.
Great, awesome. Yeah, I alluded to it a little bit, but the blueprint has two policy committees, a state-focused policy committee and a federal policy committee. Both committees meet every other week, alternating days. For state policy, the blueprint, we are fortunate to have the resources to be able to be active at the Colorado State Capitol. We do have lobbyists, and so based on the collective ideas and desires of the state policy committee, we're able to put resources and capacity, my time, our lobbyist time, into pushing legislation forward at the Capitol that we feel aligns with our values at the blueprint. We also are able to support our partners who might be doing their own pushing and advocacy at the Capitol and able to just really lift up their bills or their policies and make sure that they're getting supported. So the State Policy Committee is open to anyone. You don't have to have a policy background. My only ask is that you engage and ask questions and vote when we're deciding, okay, is this something that the blueprint wants to take on? And then for federal policy, it's a little different. We don't have a presence in DC as an organization, and instead the Federal Policy Committee is really a space just for folks to share what is going on within our nation related to food and kind of just download with each other on, okay, are there little pieces of advocacy we can do? Should we be reaching out to our representatives, or can we write a letter, sign on to a letter, make a comment on a federal rule? More of that just like collective work, but less really actionable items. Sometimes in the past too, we've hosted some of our Colorado delegates from DC who want to have the opportunity to speak to a wide variety of folks. And so we'll host them at our policy committee meetings if they want to ask certain questions. This year it was around Farm Bill. And so, yeah, really both spaces are welcoming. Federal, little chiller than state, I will say, but I would love anyone who's interested to join those.
Thanks,
And
Greta.
then I can share about our data and evaluation committee. So this year, our data and evaluation committee worked on a data dashboard, which is housed on the Blueprint website. And the data dashboard provides information on some of these areas of focus that we've kind of brought up today, such as child nutrition across the state, SNAP and WIC enrollment in Colorado, poverty rates, as well as access to food across the state. And so if you look at our data dashboard, you can like look at different regions and different counties, and it'll show counts on numbers and different stats that you need or that you're interested in looking at. And then we update it about once a year with different information that we're getting from publicly available sources, such as USDA, information that we get from like the WIC data dashboard, as well as CDPHE, and anything that they update every year or two. That's how often we update the data dashboard. And so if there's any questions around the dashboard that you have, or any information that you've become privy to and you're like, this isn't on here, you can feel free to reach out to me and I can update that on our end as well. And we always want to make sure that we're using publicly available data so that people who look at the dashboard can go back and look at the resources that we have to see where it's actually coming from and can dive deeper into the information if they have the time or the interest. The Data and Evaluation Committee is also working on a procurement map at this time. This is our latest project. It likely won't be done until summer or fall of 2024. But essentially, we partnered with a couple different organizations such as Nourish, the Department of Education, and CSU on creating a database that at first the idea was for schools to be able to use it for healthy school meals for all, so they can work on buying local produce and making relationships with producers. But we're also trying to figure out how it can be useful to our food pantry assistance grantees and food pantries and food banks across the state to build those relationships with producers. And so the database is going to be similar to what you might have seen on Colorado Proud, but we're focusing more on getting producer demographics. So looking at any woman-owned farms, the veteran-owned farms, recent or novice farmers, producers of color across the state, and then also getting information on if they sell wholesale, as if they sell to schools or food pantries, or if they donate anything they have left over, or if they selling to the public and farmers markets and farm stands and things like that. And so right now we're working on creating a survey within the Data and Evaluation Committee, and we're going to be sending out that survey probably later in like early December, and it'll be open until February. And we're just trying to send it to all the producers we can across the state. So we're working on creating a database of producers as well, and then getting producers' consent to share their information, because within the food system, there's a lot of organizations who have different connections with producers, but a lot of times that information doesn't get shared because we don't have consent from producers to provide that information to other organizations. So the Blueprint might have one list of farmers and Hunger Free might have another list, and then a lot of times there's producers who get left out or don't get included. And so we want to have a list that maximizes that and brings them all together. So when funding opportunities arise, we can update them on those things as well. So that's one of the big projects that we're working on now. And we meet every other month on the third Wednesday of the month. So our next meeting is November 18th, I believe. Thanks.
Thanks, Justice. Thanks, Greta. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about the community investments that the Blueprint has made. The Food Pantry Assistance Grant Program, the Blueprint has administered this program for the last 3 years. This is state legislation that is passed every year, and through the Department of Human Services, they select a grant administrator, and the Blueprint has been the most recent administrator for the last 3 years. So the goal of the Food Pantry Assistance Grant Program is to really help folks that are food pantries connect with local Colorado producers and get more healthy, nutritious, and culturally relevant foods into their food distribution sites. So this most recent year, we distributed 4.05 million to 245 food pantries across Colorado, many of which are on this call today, which is great. And we do offer a lot of technical assistance through our local partners at Hunger Free Colorado for this program as well. And then myself, I was administrator of this for the last 3 years, so served as that grant manager. Other opportunities that you've already heard a little bit about in some of the other work groups. Justice spoke a little bit about the Healthy School Meals for All community grants, which was around $380,000. And then you'll hear a little bit more about some of the funding through Workgroup 2-3 as we dive deeper into that now. I'm going to turn it over to Gretchen to give an overview of what Workgroup 2-3 is all about.
Okay, thank you. I'm trying to get to the slides on my screen too. Thank you. So the goals that were laid out in the beginning of the presentation, the big blueprint goals, so the work group 2-3 relates to those goals number 2 and goals number 3. So we're working towards kind of some of the official language, I guess. The state of Colorado with an interconnected and coordinated food system that creates a welcoming and safe environment for families and communities to share healthy food together. In this new place, food is healthy and affordable, and food access is equitable and easy. So I really like the work that we're doing with work group 2-3 because I think it goes directly to the heart of how do we really, like, what are the gaps in the food system so that people can connect to food. And all the work is really, really important that's happening across the blueprint. And I think this group here is really looking at like some of those human connections and also the connections around agriculture a little bit more. So we're going to dive into it. And I think I pass it to Barbarita from here.
Sí, así es. A nosotros queremos que conozcan nuestro equipo de trabajo, ya que nuestro enlace de personal es a nuestra compañera Daina y los compresidentes, como nos presentamos anteriormente, es la compañera Andrea Locke, a Gretchen y su servidora. Y nosotros tenemos a personas en nuestro grupo y queremos que se unan más miembros participantes de la comunidad, a personas que den despensas, miembros de la comunidad, organizaciones de defensas, agricultores y productores, agencias gubernamentales y organizaciones sin fines de lucro. Invitamos a todas aquellas personas que quieran unirse a nuestro equipo. Están bienvenidos.
Thanks, Barbarita. This is Andrea. Oop, sorry, I went too far.
No worries. I'm here to tell you a little bit about becoming a part of the work group. We have our monthly meetings. It's the 4th Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Sometimes we get off a little earlier, or, depending on what your work group is doing. Our area of focus is healthy food incentive and community voice, community leadership, micro grants for grassroots organization, retailer certification for SNAP and WIC.
Thanks, Andrea. Now we will dive into the bulk of the work. This is the on-the-ground work that happens in Workgroup 2-3. So I'm going to ask Yvonne to talk about the Community Leaders Workgroup, or project team, excuse me.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And thank you everyone for being here. I apologize. I don't have any presentations, but the community team meets to talk about to go over different workshops to talk about and go over different workshops for community leaders around Colorado. We have done, I'm not sure if it's almost 12 different workshops. We just met. We also collaborate a bit, I guess, with the W23 team with suggestions. And it's it's a great team. We've learned about leadership, about SNAP, but not one of the things that Barbarita just mentioned, and I like this, is not limited to nutrition. You know, we're working together to collaborate with any organization or any just community leader that knows about resources to support our community, whether it's mental health, whether it's immigration, whatever it is. So I've learned a lot. I've been with the team from, I believe, the end of last year, the beginning of this year when it started, and it's been a really great tool. And I'm happy that I see right now there's a lot of participants in this meeting, so I apologize if I wasn't ready, but if you are not in that team, I would definitely recommend it, and to invite other community members, even if it's just for, you know, volunteers from school or any other type of volunteer. It's just one of the workshops that we're going to be doing in the next few weeks, hopefully. Is going to be about how to speak, you know, how to communicate with when we're working, how to talk to other leaders, how to invite them. So I think that's a great tool for many of us that are just getting started, and this is new. So again, thank you all for being here, and yeah, join us for our next November 6th. That's when the workshop is going to be. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. And Barbarita, I don't know if you want to add anything as a co-lead of this project team.
Sí, claro. Pues más que nada el grupo de liderazgo comunitario se basa en apoyar a la comunidad, a los líderes de la comunidad, a que sepan que su voz es escuchada en este grupo y que estamos promoviendo el acceso a alimentos en todo el estado de Colorado, porque no queremos acabar con el hambre. Entonces, nuestro líder comunitario, estamos en el grupo donde está Dolores, Dana, Ivonne y una servidora. Estamos comprometidos más que nada en hacer talleres para que la comunidad se informe, aprenda y nos ayude a acabar con el hambre. Eso es más que nada lo del liderazgo comunitario. Gracias.
Great, thank you all so much. Now I'm going to move on to our Healthy Food Incentives Project team and ask Daisy to chat about the work happening over the last couple of years here.
Yes, hi everyone. Daisy Sweeney here. I'm part of Workgroup 2-3 and the project team Healthy Food Incentives, Incentivos de Alimentos Saludables. We are a group of different organizations, state agencies. We would love to see community members in the group as well. We recognize that fruits and vegetables are part of healthy eating patterns and are essential for people's nutrition and well-being. However, a big percentage of Coloradans do not meet the daily intake recommendations and have a hard time accessing fresh produce. access in some communities, especially the ones in lower income areas, do not always have fresh fruits and vegetables available. When they are available, they might be unaffordable. We also recognize that our food system is not designed to promote fresh fruits and vegetables. Growers do not receive grants so they can provide for their communities. And so what we try to do in this group is to maximize participation in programs that are available that incentivize the consumption of fruits and vegetables. There are different programs across the state: produce prescription, WIC farmers market nutrition program, double F food bags, many programs available. So we try to create awareness, increase enrollment, convene with different agencies on how to maximize participation, talk about ideas on how to retain program participants, how to incentivize farmers and retailers, and just a lot of collaboration going on. In the last 2 years, we were able to be part of evaluation. We were able to do an evaluation report with different produce incentives participants across the state. It's called Community Voices, and we were able to see the impact that these programs have in our community. We are able to assess the current procurement of Colorado grown produce with retailers. And yeah, that's basically what we do. I'll invite you to participate if this is something that you would like to work on, that talks to you, that inspires you. We want to make sure that more people have access to fresh produce, and we want to leverage all the resources that we have available. I will drop my email in the chat if you want to chat more about this, or if you want to be part of this group. We meet every Wednesday from 11 to noon in 1 a.m. We break out in a room after the big group presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Daisy. And all of the project team leads contact information is on the last slide of this presentation as well. So, and I'll make sure to send this out to everybody, all the slides after today, along with the recording, so that you have their contact info. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Gretchen to talk about the microfunding project team. And then I know that Erica is also here. She is the new team lead for this project team, but I don't want to put her on the spot too much. But Erica, if you have anything to add after Gretchen speaks, feel free.
Thank you. So the microgrants team we put together to move funding directly into the hands of people that are working to expand access to local healthy foods on the ground. So this can look a lot of different ways. The microgrant program, the idea has always been that this money is going directly into community members' hands, or very small organizations, very grassroots-led organizations. So we started this year with our first round of microgranting, and we moved $27,500 to 28 groups or individuals. And the group is working on developing plans for future funding rounds. So these look like about $1,000 grants, like $500 to $1,000. And they might be things like a fridge for a small grassroots food distribution effort, or an irrigation system for a farm, or somebody might be delivering food directly to their neighbors. So these are things that we're not seeing in the FPEG grants. These are not necessarily folks that are working with nonprofits, but what is it actually that happens in our communities to help people get healthy local food? The microgrants, I think, will evolve a lot over the next couple years. Hopefully this is a long-term plan. We don't have any guarantees yet, but hopefully they'll evolve a lot and keep it that at the heart of it. How do we move money directly into the hands of people who are most impacted and who are creating the changes in their own communities. And that looks different. And that looks different wherever we are. And that picture is at Good Sam's Food Pantry in Cortez. So I'm going to give them a shout out for all that beautiful produce, probably a lot of it coming through the FPEG grant. Does Erica, do you want to share anything on that?
Sure. Sorry, I'm driving. I'm stopped. I'm excited to be a part of this group. And I think the only thing I would add is just that we're also working to make the application process more accessible. I think we all know and have experienced what it is to apply for even microgrants, making it really cumbersome and difficult. And so I think, collective goal is to make that process much, much simpler. And we learned a lot from the first round, things that folks would probably not be surprised by, that were to the opportunity for large organizations to insert themselves in spaces where we want to push back and provide true micro opportunities. So yeah, I'm excited.
Thanks, Erica. Thanks, Gretchen. All right. Our final project team of Workgroup 2-3 is a WIC and SNAP retailers project team. And I think I saw Carolina. I'm not sure. Oh, I did see Hudith as well. So I will ask Hudith, Jennifer, and Carolina, and all three of you can chat a little bit about this work.
Yeah, I'm here and I can kind of start off talking about this work group. So hi everyone, I'm Carolina Ramirez, pronouns she, her, aya. I'm the Food Access Administrator over at Denver Department of Public Health and Environment, and I'm one of the co-leads for this group. And so the goal of this group is really to kind of explore how we can expand access for retailers to increase their ability to carry more fresh produce and ultimately get more accessible and affordable produce directly to communities themselves. And so I don't know if anyone here has ever been or tried to go through the process to get SNAP authorized. It is incredibly lengthy, it's confusing, and similar to like a lot of other government kind of work, it's just not accessible and the government doesn't make it any easier. And so I think that there's just a lot of barriers such as like time and capacity for a lot of retailers throughout the state that are really wanting to learn how to accept SNAP and WIC benefits at their stores. But unfortunately, the process itself is just not accessible to many of them. And so our group is really trying to explore what that current infrastructure looks like at retailers and what kind of support they would need to really provide a more diverse selection of food items for their communities. And so currently our smaller project team is working on connecting small grocers and retailers with additional funding and technical assistance opportunities to really help expand SNAP authorization at their stores. And our group is really trying to understand how we can really provide those resources and support for a lot of these retailers. But I think that's high level of what we're kind of doing here. And I don't know, definitely want to leave space for Maria, Leith, and Jennifer, if you all have anything kind of to add to this group.
Yeah, Hudith, if you are still here, would love to hear from you as well.
Claro que sí, Dana, gracias. Pues algo que a mí realmente me gusta mucho de este grupo y que me motiva es el poder, como estaba diciendo Carolina, crear una brecha donde podamos ayudar a estas pequeñas tiendas locales a entender el proceso, darles la información y que ellos puedan tomar la mejor decisión de si pueden hacerse certificados para SNAP, WIC o Double Apps, ya que eso ayudaría a ellos a incrementar su capacidad de alguna manera, pero también ayudaría muchísimo a las familias a no tener pena de preguntar en una tienda local donde ellos compran sus productos que son culturalmente apropiados para su familia, si ellos, si pueden aceptar SNAP o WIC, porque la mayoría tiene letreros grandes y ya no necesitas preguntarlo, y si tienes una tarjeta puedes utilizarla y comprar esos productos que no los encuentras en otro lugar. Así que me gusta porque las tiendas ganan, las familias ganan y podemos tener mejor acceso a estos servicios nutritivos. Así que los invitamos a las personas que quieran abogar por esto, que quieran aprender y que quieran sumarse a este esfuerzo. Y no sé si está Jennifer, Tana, que pueda también ella.
Thanks, Judith. Yes, Jennifer's here.
I'm here. I don't have much to add. Carolina did such a good job. But I guess my favorite part of this is going out and actually talking to the small grocers and trying to get them involved in this work. It's good stuff.
Thanks, Jennifer. And I will also note that this group has some funding through Kaiser Permanente, and we are paying 5 different community partners to do outreach with small grocers and retailers. And we're also offering an incentive component to the retailers that go through the whole process. So over the next year, we will have a lot going on with this project team. All right. Let me see who's on my agenda. I think this is Andrea.
Yes, I'm back. Y'all, excuse me if I start sneezing. I'm truly trying to fight it. But I want to encourage you to get involved and attend our monthly work group meetings. I'm going to add a little bit of testimony in there if I could, please. I just want to tell you, when I started with the blueprint, I was lost, and I hadn't been in that deep. And Miss Wendy with Nourish, and another a former colleague, and invited me to do the co-chair. And I was like, what? But and I'm always very vocal, but I'm learning the food system, and it's a giant. It's really a giant, and I didn't know anything, but I can tell you, I'm so grateful that she pushed me, or they pushed me off the cliff to join and to take a dive. It has, as I always say, educated me in so many ways. And it's just amazing how much knowledge gave me power to empower my community. And it's just an amazing and wonderful organization to be part of. I don't want to talk on and on because I'll start crying. That's how much I really love the blueprint. And I've met some beautiful, wonderful people. I've built a network that I never dreamed of. And I'm going to tell you guys that Dolores, Dana, Joelle, Greta, they are some of the best and most patient instructors to have in your life. They have truly took their time with me, and I appreciate them very much. I also want to mention that you can be compensated for your participation outside of your regular job. That's if your job is not compensating you to be a part of this. But I'm going to also encourage you, just don't do it for the stipend that's available. Do it because, number one, you hate hunger. And number two, you have a passion for people in your community. Do it for that. And I do it just for that. The most rewarding part of this, excuse me, I have a intruder, a little net flying around. The most rewarding part of this is the things that it has helped me do for my community. If you guys could hear some of the testimonials that goes on with my community, you would jump at the chance to become a part of, I'm going to say work group 2, 3 or work group 1, 4. Just find your spot and use your voice. I can tell you honestly, and I'm gonna hush after this thing, I promise. There has been at least 3 different things that I have requested for a community here at Blueprint. And I want to tell you that they have put in every effort to make it happen. One is being where we at right now. We're having this orientation. So I'm going to tell you, it's not just a way to burn time. It's a way to grow. It's a way to power yourself so you can empower your community. And I'm using every bit of everything that I get through Blueprint to empower my community. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Andrea. It was really special. Thank you for sharing all of that. We're really happy to have you as a leader. I think this was also your slide, Andrea.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you, subscribe to the newsletter. Get your information out there. Read, because they do some amazing work. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not bumping them up. They did not. If my testimony is my testimony, you know, if anybody know me, nobody can make me say what I don't want to say. So I'm telling you guys, this is a place. If they could become a university, I certainly would be a part of it. And then it says they are on social media, and I went out there on the social media, and it's a beautiful site, and then they have a website as well. You know, they're just out there because they're really for people. And I don't want to say community, but I want to make it a little bit more personal. They're for people. They fight for me, you. That's who they truly fight for. And I am so grateful I stumbled up on Blueprint to end hunger. Thank you.